I'm starting to record this too. That's why we're doing it on Zoom so you can play it back later.
Yay.
Thank you for hearing me earlier. I was just worried about that one thing, and I appreciate either way because I'm here for whatever, you know what I mean? But I don't want you to feel like you have to
Pay you to be my friend?
Yeah. Ew. Ew. I was like, no.
No, I do not feel like that at all. I know that you're super busy. I just wish that we just had more days and more time to catch up. So just quickly, just tell me how you're feeling. Just quickly.
I'm having a really good day. So
Good.
yeah, it's good. And
yeah.
I can't hear you. What?
Oh, because I know this drains you a
Oh,
lot.
no, it depends on when I was doing it of, 7, 8, 9 readings a day, plus working full time. That's a lot. But doing it now, I've learned how to pace myself too, so I'm not killing myself all the time. And my new now with the cancer, I have to pace myself with everything. So, I mean, just like cooking dinner, I have to stop and do, so it's just totally different. So in order for me to have this, I have to make all sorts of allowances so that way I can do that. So, and that is fine with me. It's just learning how to do everything completely differently, which also includes the way that I've been doing readings lately too. So, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun too, but I used to put so much pressure on myself for everything, and I'm not doing that anymore. So it's just super fun and relaxed, and like, okay, so then it's not really taking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it used to be that I would do like this 2-hour write-up with then the hour reading and then an extra, add-ons, I think that stuff, and doing that like 8 times. That's a lot. And so I'm still doing all the meditations and everything beforehand, but it's pacing myself a different way. And that was one of the reasons why I had to up my prices too, is because I realized too how much I was really undercharging myself considering, but I don't want to be too expensive either, because I want, people to be able to
get the clarity that you give to people, that there's so much value in that. So please, I'm so glad that you did too, because you were like, oh, I had to up my prices. Yeah, you should.
And it's still a lot less than a lot of other, I don't, but it's like, this is the income that I make. So it's like, I appreciate that people are so cool about it too, but it's been nothing but positive.
Sure. And whatever you need or whatever you ask us for, like, just know that we would always pay it, because you are so amazing and so awesome. And like all the information, I literally went back because financially right now we're struggling, but it's just me. It's my procrastination and my head in the clouds kind of stuff. And I stopped right literally before before you called me. I was in the baby's room and I was just like, oh my gosh, Carrie told me this already. Like, she already told me that this was going to go down. She already, so I had to go back and reread it again, but it was very helpful. Like, it gives me hope. Like, I know that I'm not going to, we're not like in doom.
No, don't say anything too, because when I was outside, I was talking to your grandma about this too, about everything going on with you too. So don't say anything yet. But that's the thing too, is like knowing that it doesn't mean that things are going to happen that week. It's a matter of, guides give me that information because it's pertinent for you guys to know this. And it's for your life, your understanding, you're the best of you. It's not for me. It's not, I don't come up with this information. It's not for me. It's straightly from spirit and from the highest of highs, because I refuse, where I am. I won't even talk to people that had like disgruntled family members. I won't deal with that. That's, I'm not here for it. And so that's where we are. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to do some mediumship. I'm going to have an open flow with you, and also I'm going to pull cards too on different topics. I'm going to start up front and say that when I was outside, and it's all raining here, so gross, it's funny. It's like making lakes outside.
Oh,
Hey, Portland.
go Portland.
That's how you get it green. Anyway, though, grandma's talking about, this would be, I think this is on your mom's side, right? Your mom's mama, is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, and she's got short hair and, kind of combs it back too. She's, fuller set, but not fat, just fuller. And she is extra, extra special. So she was talking to outside that you are, because we were talking about different holiday food stuff and like that. She said that you've been working on new recipes too. So, that she's been giving you ideas on that, and it's stuff with connection. But today you were actually working on a new recipe and trying something new for the holidays. And I thought that was super cool. And that, your cooking, you cook with like, because we were talking about, she used to cook with love, and it was like her own special spells that she would put in her food. Not really spells, but you know what I mean? Like she put
like the movie, like the movie like Water for Chocolate. If you've ever seen that movie,
never saw it. Never saw it, but
it's that same idea.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I cook like that. And she was talking about you cooking like that. And she was talking about, it had to do with one dessert kind of a thing that you were making, and one type of dinner kind of something or other that's a holiday kind of free flow, but holiday for you, not necessarily meaning it's open for everybody, but it's also giving the thumbprint of who you are within the recipes and within the cooking, that it's open for your family in a way to hopefully remember through the years too, as you are creating yourself as a matriarch. That because it used to be that she was a matriarch, and she's saying that how you have really come into your own as far as that. And she's saying what a blessing you are. And she says that you have undone a lot of how do I put it? I wouldn't really call it curses, but she's saying it, actually, she's not even saying it in English.
Generation, it's generational. I've been doing a lot of orthobionomy work, and releasing my friend Heidi is a orthobionomy person, kind of, too, where your emotions get trapped in certain places. Yes. And generationally,
that's what she's talking about. So a lot of that has been that work that you've been doing is huge, and it's working, and it's the guides see it, universe sees it. It's for the timestamp of the greater good. It's for your girls, of which I was asking about kids. There's no more kids coming out. That's it. But I had to ask.
Anything else, because I got my tubes tied. So literally, it would be by divine intervention that we would.
Yep. I don't see anybody assigned, and I have friends who, that didn't work. They have more kids from that, so that's not necessarily it. I'm gonna hold on just a second here. Let me screech that. You have a dot on your face, and I wasn't sure if that was mine or not, but that's okay. There, it's gone. It's like a reflection kind of a thing. It's not even a big deal. Let's not focus on it. But with that, though, going back to that thumbprint of yours, it's like you have really gone through and measured what hurt, what you're going to bring into your family, what you're going to exclude, what that looks like. You've done a lot of the software of where, training yourself into stuff that eventually becomes into hardwire and permanent, rather than just practicing it. It's become like really hardwired. And that is something that the girls will learn from you as well. And what a huge, huge deal that is. Also, I wanted to talk about that. Your husband's planning, he's planning on changing jobs?
Well, no. Well, he's switching positions. There's a position.
Okay,
trying.
that's what she's okay. I'm like, there's a change within his work that he's doing. Money is better, not a whole lot better, but it's better. Also, you are going into a job soon as well. And it's that will be very beneficial because you'll be able to be with the kids and do that. At house, there's an idea of moving out of the house as well into somewhere else. And so that is open. She's telling me about buying a house, and when that happens, that will go pretty fluid, but it just takes a couple of jumps to get there. Um, I'm asking about money on that part too. She said that there's still gathering money that needs to happen beforehand.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been quite reached yet, but it will be given to you and it will be earned fairly easily. And I'm asking about the process of the house as well. There's a couple of little glitches involved with it. So the process of it might seem a lot longer than it should, but considering all of it, it's going to be very smooth. It's not anything out of the ordinary, or it's stuff like that you see up front, maybe some property damage that can be adjusted within the owners and things like that. So but that it looks like that's coming more towards spring, summer for you. So it's not like an immediate, but you'll have time to do everything. Also, looks like you're with kiddos, youngest one, it's a different type of daycare situation than she's been in before, which is kind of fun. Either, I'm not seeing it as, well, it might be a new sitter, but it's kind of like what is involved with it is a new type of learning for her as well. So kind of like preschool kind of stuff, but it's not for actual daycare. It's
At our
for a little.
at our church, I know exactly where you're going with that. So I was just given a calling within our church, and I'm now the secretary for the primary kids, for all the
Ah,
primary kids.
okay.
So this will be my new job,
I see.
and it's going to involve a lot of other kids. And
Yes.
Olivia is such a social butterfly that we
Yes.
have so our church is 2 hours, and we've only been going 1 hour, and I keep telling Simon, like, she's got to go to second hour because that
Right.
is her
Her
social
Yes, that's
rest.
right. Yes.
And so that real deep because I understand that.
She has a different learning style as well than the other ones. And all of them have different learning styles, of course. But the grandma was holding her over there and watched her, especially over there. She had so as far as from the time that Olivia was kind of created in that shift into, you guys are my parents, we're going here next. Grandma has been watching her very closely. So she has a very close tie with her. She does with the other kids too, but because she is newer here on this planet than the other ones. And grandma is a little bit newer on the other side in comparison to the other kids. She is like that with her and as she's watching her develop. So that learning style too, she's like, she keeps talking about her twinkles and how Olivia she's got the twinkles. She's able to understand a lot more than she's able to verbalize, and she gets very frustrated when her mind and her mouth and her actions don't act. Yeah. And to that kind of learning style, understand that she will act and do before she thinks, but she's still thinking. She's just not caught up together. And in that,
totally our connection. And I think too that her connection with grandma too, I named Olivia after grandma.
That's what grandma was saying, that there was a name, she had her name there, that something in there, that they're that close that they have the names involved there too. That is sweet. And you have a necklace from grandma as well that, yeah, she says she wants you to wear it more if you can find it.
Well, at grandma, I gave all of that stuff to my mom because
Okay.
drama between my mom and Stephanie and my sister and I when grandma passed, and grandma will understand too.
She is. She's totally understanding. She just wants you to more have that. She doesn't care if you're like physically wearing it, but she's like, hey, remember this, connect to this, so that's really what it, because she doesn't care whether or not it's a physical or not. She's just and she keeps saying Mija too. So that's, and cuddling with you. It sounds like she was a cuddler with you too, would stroke the top of your head, and you were able to actually get on her lap when you were littler and cuddle with her until even when you were too big to cuddle. She's laughing about that. She has a really solid, hearty laugh that she's giving while she's doing that. And yeah, and she's it's like she's saying about what?
She used to call me China doll.
Yeah, because she's not calling, and it's a reference to actually you reminding her of herself when she was younger, and that connection there. It's almost like she says the identity of you and the identity of her as like the same when, but she spoke English, of course, but she spoke
Spanish
more, and she also did it of a mix of both, because when she's speaking to me, she's speaking more in Spanish than she is in English, and she'll mix in some English words, but it's mostly, and the way that she says it in Spanish, it's like there's dual meanings to those words too. So I'm trying to describe it in not just the articulation of the word, because the word means more than one thing. So yeah, and it's not even that I speak fluent Spanish, but it's that I can understand it entirely because the way that they download that information, and it's quite beautiful. She's also talking about cookies with you and all sorts of, were you working on cookies? She said, tell her about the cookies. What's that?
Yeah, well, I just keep going back to, she used to, every year she got like this little tin, and it's like those little blue tins that have those them.
Right. And she was talking about butter cookies. That's what I'm like, well, and that can mean two things, that she might literally mean that, or she might mean it figuratively, but there's specifically butter cookies on that.
Are like my favorite cookies ever in the whole entire world. And so Stephanie came up with actually a recipe
that has a fruit in it.
Yes. And the fruit comes from, the fruit is from Stephanie found, my grandma used to have this big jar of candies. It got so old that like they literally like all melted together. And my cousin Jean and I used to climb up on it and like chip away at the candy inside of the jar. And we would try to keep it like sneaky like. Stephanie actually found this great big huge bag of candy that had those little tiny candies in them. And she's like, look. And so we were thinking of grandma.
Oh, that's what she's talking about. She's like clapping, like, you get it. She's very excited. She says she used to say to you, don't eat that. That's as hard as a statue.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Every single time. Break our teeth off. And we not even, oh gosh, get away from it. But Stephanie,
sorry.
No, that's okay. Stephanie just perfected, she duplicated that butter cookie. And she's been trying to do it for so long. And she did it this year. She freaking did it.
Well, tell her grandma sees that. But she didn't go by grandma. And she's saying it, and I keep losing the name of it. It reminds me of abuela, but it means she's saying something else that is with that you would call her as a nickname for it, like
grandma. Well, to me she was always grandma. She was always my grandma, and Papa was always Papa. Grandma was always, to me, she was always grandma.
Yeah, but this is more of an affectionate one-on-one thing. So you just think about that and let that come out. She's talking about it. It's a pet name, she says.
Grandma, what did I use? Gramacita? No.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yes, because she was like, it sounded like she said stinky, and is
Gram-
but it's the cita is that I'm hearing, Gramacita.
Gramacita.
She goes, yeah, and there's a when you were a kid, it sounded like stinky to you, so it was kind of funny, but as a gesture of that, that's really cute. That's really cute.
Yeah.
You do have other family members here too.
Oh, good. For
Uh,
one.
huh?
I said I'm hoping for one in particular. So
You bet. There's an uncle here. Tell me who you would like to.
Uncle Steve.
Okay.
Sorry, Uncle Bud. It's Uncle
Yes,
Bud.
yes, yes. He shows he would have passed from, he doesn't communicate as easily as the others, but it's because he still is learning different stuff. But felt like he would have died abruptly, and it wasn't like a long ongoing sickness that he had passed from, and something with the chest there too, either a final part of it being heart failure or something like that, but it feels a lot from that. Was there an accident involved?
Unless that's my cousin Jeff. Jeff died on in a motorcycle
Yes,
accident.
that is Jeff. That is Jeff, younger. Too, and he has like not medium, but just kind of like longer hair that he comes back. He's referring to you as a little sister. That that he misses you, and he says, yes, we go way back. We go way back.
Jeff, I love you.
So, and he says not to worry, and his relationship with his mother has improved, and that he has a brother here as well.
Does he? Oh gosh.
Yeah, his family relationships, there was a lot of unsettled business when he had died, and a lot of people worried about him because of the kind of life he was living before, and it was kind of not terrible, but just kind of some not good choices. And relationship with mother was really disturbed as well, and that's been made into peace since he's passed. He's showing a kind of a brown kind of a leather jacket with kind of the sheep in,
like the fuzz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Of that. And he says that he would have adventures with you and he misses you. He says he's not as good as talking about it as good as talking as he would like to be, but he's working on his skills. He showed that he has visited you in person through dreams and watching with you, and you felt him around. But a lot of times when he is around, he's not able to come in fully, so it's hard to recognize that it's him. But he's there, and he says you have amazing girls as well. He says that he's really surprised at that you became this awesome mom, and that this is just such a wonderful surprise. He says he couldn't have picked a better husband for you. That he's really proud of you and so glad that you're so happy, and that's all that he could have ever wanted for you. He was talking about younger school age. So you've known him since younger years?
Yes.
Yeah. He says that, you might not have done very well in school, but you sure are a smart girl, and that you have done really, really well with your life, and you've overcome a lot of, he uses the word adversity, and he's really proud of you with that. So he's remembering and bringing up when there were vulnerable times between you and him, and you saying to him that you didn't feel very smart, and that you wouldn't amount to much, and he's saying, hugging you, saying, look at you, look how wonderful you are. And he's saying, look at what you've become. See, I told you everything would work out. And he's just really proud of you in that. Does that relate to you? Do you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That motorcycle, yeah, it looks almost like a dirt bike. It's not like a Harley or But he said he used to have the best time on it as well. And he says tell her about how he died. He says that he was gone before he actually was gone. He said I was gone before I died. If that makes sense. Does that make
Yes.
sense to you?
Yeah.
So he doesn't remember anything about it except for looking at his death when he had crossed and the piece of it. His body wasn't there. He couldn't feel the death. There was no torture. There was no,
Yeah.
it was like he was gone.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. He was already removed from his body when he had passed. So there was no physical pain on that. He's showing that he was rushed to a hospital too, but he was already gone at that point. But they were still working on it. There was some brain activity going, but he was already gone. So on that, so no worries on that. He's also saying for you to he has to go. It takes on the other side, just like humans with our different personalities, it takes them, everybody has different learning styles over there as well. And because they have different personalities. That's how we are. And free will is in charge of everything. So you would think that people are able to bounce from one location to another really easily or go through walls really easily, but they're not. That's something that has to be trained. And so sometimes, and if you think about certain people's personalities, how into the effort were they when they would actually visit family and things like that? Sometimes certain people, their one time a year was just this gigantic thing versus other types of people where, they have to see you every day to show that they're on spot. So in that same personality, that's the way it is over there as well. So he had to go through a lot of, he's passed over, but he had to go through a lot of transition and take his personality wasn't an automatic kind of intuitive kind of a learner type of thing. He kind of it had to be his idea for him to make decisions. So he had to really understand the concept of how everything works over there versus here to have interest in learning it, because he has a tendency to be kind of lazy on his chutzpah. That's what I mean. That's the best way I can put it. But he's not a lazy person himself. It's just so it's harder for him to travel, and it's harder for him to do that, and it wears him out a lot too, because he's just newly into doing this, if that makes sense. And so Uncle's wanting to come in there too. Uncle. So thank you so much for your time. So Uncle Bud is coming in too. He says, "My turn, my turn. It's my turn." So he is sharing holiday cheer with you as well. He used to drink beer. He's showing beer. He's doing cheers with you, except for he says that for you, I'm going to make a margarita with extra lime. Um, um,
Amen.
so
Yeah.
he's bringing that to you as well. He says that he's showing me that you've been making chips and things like that lately too. As far as, just easy, yummy food, kids love it too. But for you, that's your adult version of, sharing your you, but also transitioning with the being, kids as well, being more appropriate. So, yeah, he says that he says it in his way, but he's basically saying hot mama is what you are, like a hot, yeah, and he's saying that in Spanish too. So
Mamacita.
mamacita is, yeah, that's what he's saying. Fuego. Fuego. But the mamacita part is what he's really amplifying with that feeling behind it, so that is really good. He says that you have a question for him. So he wants to take this time like he's sitting right in front of you, one-on-one, and take advantage of this time.
I just asked him if he was able to resolve a lot of the issues with grandma, because that's grandma, and he wasn't there when grandma passed, and there was a big to do, like they wouldn't let my their other sibling. There's 4 siblings, 2
Mhm.
brothers, 2
Yep.
sisters.
Yep.
Everybody is torn into
Her
5
sis
pieces, and they wouldn't let my sister in, or they wouldn't let his sister in
Yeah.
to see him before
And
he
she
passed.
was very, very aggressive.
Yeah.
Very, very aggressive, but it's in a good way, just because, you know, she needed to do what she needed to do.
Yeah.
He felt really bad about that part there,
Yeah.
as well.
'Cause my at the door, because my mom was still mad at her because my aunt didn't let my mom and my uncle see my grandma before she passed. And so they, my mom
The
um,
animosity.
mhm, did the
Mm,
same thing in turn. So
mhm.
I just hope that he is able to resolve those issues with grandma, and that that
They're
they're,
actually together. They come together.
yeah,
So when they're presenting, they're all together. But it took, he says that it took some time to resolve, but it wasn't actually with, he didn't have to resolve with her, because she already was in a different place when she had passed, in a different type of an understanding and a forgiveness. She was well beyond it.
yeah,
He needed this space for his own self, recovery, and also self forgiveness, on that, as she greeted him with open arms. There wasn't any tension there, but it was a lot for him to work through, because there was a lot of tears that came with it too. And we're talking like the ugly girl tears. He's laughing while he's saying it. He did a lot of ugly girl tears, while he was over there. So he had a really young kind of a personality, too,
yeah,
and he joked a lot, and he was just like, he was your uncle, but almost could be like an older brother kind of a thing. But he's also an uncle. It was very
like
free spirited.
like he was just always down to, always down to party, like the light of the party.
Yep, yep.
Very
But he
what?
says though, he did a lot of ugly girl crying. He's showing, what's his name, comedian Carlos
Yes.
Lopez.
Uh,
Um, yeah, that, I guess that was one of his favorite comedians, and he's referring to the way that he says ugly girl cry, like that. Um,
right up my uncle's alley. Like
Yes,
right.
he did that when passing over after a while. He says that he couldn't believe what grace and forgiveness they all showed him. It was almost too much.
Yeah.
But he was allowed to explore his feelings in a way that it was so overwhelming that he had no other choice but to break down and release, and forced to look at himself in all areas, not just, the passing, but how his life had affected everybody's, and where he was right and where he was wrong, and where it was so overwhelming. And then on top of it, his greatest, one of the greatest, because he has some other big things there too, but with his mom, though, of not being there, and he understood on the other side that she knew and she was okay, but the forgiveness was for him, not for her. And so that's how that was. He also is wearing, he says, tell her what I'm wearing. I'm like, okay. He's wearing a kind of a wife beater thing that, he's got the full,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. He
it's
says
long.
he gets to wear that over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some stains on his shirt, but it's still a good shirt. He says this is a good shirt. And it's because it's got a lot of history with it, and everything's okay on the other side. So he's super chill like that too. He shows it that he has an earring. Um, I can't see on both sides, but his earring.
He's got one in his one ear.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's a cross that he's wearing. There, that's really cute. I really enjoy him. He's so much fun,
He
but he'll
is.
be there.
Uncle Bud was always the life of the party. I can say
Yeah.
that for
I can see that. I can see that. He, brings you a lot of holiday cheer too. He'll be easy for you to tap into. He says he's around you all the time. And that he's calling you like his niece, as your baby girl. And I don't know how to say that in Spanish, but he's saying it in Spanish, like you're his baby girl, if that makes sense, but in a niece way. Best kind of friends as well. And yeah. He just thinks the world of you, of course. But so he wants me to tell you too that that part of asking the question wasn't because he didn't know what your question was. He goes, I already know you have to say that, but you needed to know for yourself that I could hear you. So that was the point of doing that, of having us.
Yeah, I literally just had asked him, I was like, I wonder if you resolved the stuff with grandma. And then you were like, he wants you to ask him any questions. And I was like, yeah, okay.
That's great. That's great. That's great. He's wonderful.
Around?
What?
Is anybody else around?
Oh, so a grandfather is also here. Yeah, he's there. And there's somebody who I'm not sure I want to bring in.
Don't if you don't want to.
Yeah, I know that there's a bunch of unclosed business on that one. And I will say, are you there?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. That's okay. I will say that this person is trying to make amends with the family. And my guides are not letting me see a full view of him, but I can hear him. And
The man?
Yeah, it's a man.
Oh.
That is making amends with people as well. The woman, there's that, which brings up there's a woman there as well, but that's in a different, which has a very similar vibrations as well. I can see her a little bit more there. She was kind of an angrier, she's on a thinner side, kind of a really stern person there. And she says that she's doing the best that she can. And I'm not sure what that means. You'll have to read. I'm trying not to read her too much. So there's like the two of them over there, but grandpa, and I'm trying not to blur all of them because they're all coming in all at once. But she says just one more thing. She says that there is, I guess, ties with her family, that she broke some bonds and regrets of doing that. There's a young girl involved, and I don't know if that's from the past or if she's currently younger. She's kind of a distorted, so that tells me that not only are my guides kind of blocking her, but she did that her vibration level is not demonic or anything like that, but just kind of on the lower.
So I'll tell you. So who I'm asking about is my sister Janelle. It's Simon's sister. And she took her own.
Something different. She's got blonde hair. That's a different person. We'll touch her too. Different.
Blonde hair. Ooh,
yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Like a dark blonde, like not like a
Nellie, do you have a dark blonde? Hold on.
What we might be describing, because you might call her brown hair, but I would say that she was a dark blonde.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I guess she would have dark. So that's her.
That's a dark. Yeah. Because see the blonde where, yeah. The highlights. So
she took her own life.
No, I was gonna okay. That's something entirely different, because they all come in. So I'm like, okay, kind of trying to discern from that part. And
the young girl makes
that is that person. Because she kind of shifts into different. She's able to, her energy is very static, so it comes and goes, comes and goes. It's like she's trying to come through, but she's like in a rippled, staticky part. There was a daughter involved with her, and
that's
the place.
Mm-hmm.
What?
That's for the
daughter. Yeah, of what's happening with her. She has kind of crossed. She's hasn't fully gone through all the work that she needs to do to understand how she understands how she passed. She understands how she got to the point of how she passed. And she had some severe, she would self medicate with drinking and with drugs, more drinking than anything though. And she would I guess she's telling me that she was considered bipolar as well. And so there was a lot of misunderstanding in her static. She knows how she got there, but what she is having a really hard time with is accountability, um, on where to put the responsibility of what that really looks like. So they're holding her in that recovery zone until she's ready as she learns. But there's a lot of people that she needs to make peace with on earth, and it's not for their sake, it's for her sake. So that way she can choose to move differently in that area. She has so many apologies, so many. She says though that there was that disappointment that your husband feels in her is just really overbearing, because he gave her a lot of resources of what to do and where to go. I guess he offered her money as well and was trying to take care of her. And she's accepted money in the past, but she almost doesn't give him credit for what he's done for her. And it's really sad. And she's trying to understand where to take ownership and where not to, but also at the same time, she wants him to know that she loves him. And she's like sobbing, she's like crying out her nose kind of a thing right now, that she is just so sorry. She's just so sorry the way that everything ended, and she's so worried. Is there a little boy involved as well?
There are two. There are. She has 6 kids of her own, but
there's a couple of them that are younger though and displaced because of this.
Yeah, like Ethan and Alex are the younger girl, her daughter. Ethan and Alex are her daughter's sons.
Okay.
And so Alex is the youngest of the 2 boys, and he was the closest to her.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they fully
darker brown hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I don't even know that Ethan and Alex really know how she passed.
No, not to the full extent. It looks like they were very discreet on how her death was handled. It doesn't look like they put anywhere overdose. They put, natural causes on there, but they didn't. If you look close, you could tell, but it's nothing up front. And so you would have to have that explained on the death certificate. So it would that way, because there was insurance did end up paying off or should pay off for this as well, because they were very discerning on that, if that makes sense. I have to release her. She's making me very nauseous. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry, I got it closed down on that one. There's a lot of work to be done there, and I appreciate you very much. I wish you peace and love, and your guides will help you through this. Yeah, I just have to be very careful on that part too, because she has a very hard time with her boundaries, and will exert more of herself than she understands she's doing, and not take any accountability for that as well. You give her an inch, she'll take a mile kind of thing,
Right. We're not
what? Oh, but I already gave her a mile. That's not something. I just felt like that needed some peace of mind and a little clarity off of. But yeah, I would be very careful not to touch her presence or anything like that, because it's not her, it's by that choice of decision making and where she is, she could easily have negative things around her, and I don't want that sucked into your realm, if that makes sense. So that's so so with brother, I mean, I keep calling him brother, but it's not, it's your husband. I think it's because of how close you guys are on that. You guys are truly, truly close on that. But for you to
lifetimes together, and we joke. I said that I was a little black baby girl in one of my lifetimes, and he was one of the he was a slave owner.
Yeah.
And because of how both of us and I feel like we probably fell in love, and he probably wasn't supposed to, but I do feel like this crazy connection.
Would be right. You would be right. It would be right. Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. You guys have been through a lot together. So many, and you spent time as guides as well. There was times where you were guides of your kids together, throughout their lives and so forth. And, through lifetimes just for them, and that's pretty. You two are really special, really, really special. So with him, letting him know about what we talked about, and this is being recorded too, so I'll play that link back. This is for you. Nice to meet you. I'm saying this to your husband. That the way that this needs to be taken, though, is that Simon needs to do his own processing work in his own peace. It's not for her, it's for him. And they guides and the highest of highs are dealing with her as is. It is her still free will to choose who she gets help from. And that right now, because it's a little compromised because of her free will, I would hope that you wouldn't tap too much into that. And the forgiveness and all of that understanding needs to come from self without expectations that it reaches her, because she has her own work to do, just as we have our own work to do. And because of the free will of where she is, sometimes she accidentally taps into the wrong energies while being over there. And I don't want those energies to pass through to you guys in an unsafe space, especially with such gifted kids. So that just needs to be
okay.
So
yep. And done. I will make sure that. Yep.
Yeah, not because there's somebody's bad or anything like that. It's just that
if she's not in a good space, I don't need any.
Doesn't mean she's in hell. Doesn't mean or anything like that. No, that's not it either. She's in recovery is what she's in her own recovery. Right. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And because I say that all the time. I'm like, you cannot be here. This is a house of God. This is where Jesus,
exactly.
And you cannot penetrate these walls.
No.
So
exactly.
Until you can figure yourself out.
Yeah. And your guides will let you know of when that timing is there, and it's of love and light, no lies, no deceit. So we're not touching. But I know that he needed to know this as well, because that's for his own growth, and that's really important as well, and for his own peace, and especially for that forgiveness. For him, it's going to take a lot of actual forgiveness on the part of where he feels like he should have seen, he should have known, he should have put his boundaries down. And it's because she did this to him time and time again. It wasn't just once, it was an over and over and over again. And he did the best that he could, and he was not wrong to share what he did. He did everything that he could, and it was not his fault. He couldn't have done better. He did everything that he was called to do. That's the way that is. But there's that quiet part that needs forgiveness over the person that it took him to feel like a doormat in those situations, if that makes sense. Those are those quiet parts there. But he is an amazing man too, and I really like how he does lead the family, but he has you side by side with him, not behind him. And that is, a lot of religious people, it's not that way, and with you guys it is. And I love that so much.
Partner in crime, that's for sure.
And I know you wanted to ask about, there's some other what's going to happen when questions.
Yes. Well, mostly I wanted to ask about Olivia. Well, just the health of the kids, that everything is top notch, but Olivia
Well,
cannot get rid of this like nose thing. And I think for me, what is like my biggest concern is just the stupid coronavirus and like,
that's
you know,
not it. Yeah, that's not it. She's got some super allergies and a low immune system. Not like
okay.
low like my immune system. She wouldn't test as
Somebody who had a low immune system, but she
no,
does.
like
Yeah.
like I have like 2 platelets, that kind of thing. She's not going to test like that. Um, but she, at the same time, she also has back molars that are coming in, too.
Yeah.
So that's causing earaches, it's causing runny nose, it's causing sore throats, things like that,
Yeah.
because of the postnasal drip that's happening with the molars.
Okay.
So she is a very healthy kid, but she's going to have like a year of a sick kid, even though she's not a sick kid, if that makes sense,
Yep. Perfect sense. Because she does have like this nose situation that just I cannot get rid of it. And she is
Mhm.
well at night, which means that I don't sleep well at night. And we're running
You have
humid.
the mucus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doing
I
all.
would get her checked for asthma though. That's one of the big her allergies and asthma. And actually a lot of the humidifiers kind of are making it worse right now for her because of the asthma. She's really needing some nebulizer type stuff there too. But that runs in the family. She's not the only one who has asthma. It feels like second daughter. Um
Addison too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you know how to treat that.
Yeah. Too.
But it's confusing too because Addison doesn't get the same kind of cold symptoms as Olivia does. But
No.
Olivia does because of those wisdoms. And it's been a while, so you forgot.
Years. Then,
Yeah. So it's like, is this kid normal? It's like you've got
yeah. Yes. Okay,
but
good. That's all I wanted
yeah.
to know with the kids and their health and that everything is good there.
Has she
Um,
been wheezing though?
I can't really, well, sometimes I feel like she's wheezing. She's
Or
pulling pretty hard, like working really hard at night to
yeah,
breathe when
yeah.
she takes and stuff. But when she's up like during the day and running up and down the hallway, she's not. But it's only like when she's real still that
Yeah.
you start to hear
And
it.
that's all that saliva too.
Oh,
I would just on the safe part though, bring her into doctors, see what kind of decongestant that they can recommend that's safe for her. Um, yeah, and also just to bring her to, because that hasn't is a conversation that hasn't been brought up yet. Is say, hey, oh, she's starting to show signs of asthma. Let's, address this before it becomes a problem. Um, so, and especially because it does run in the families. So
okay.
I would do that. But other than that, I'm not, I mean, there's learning stuff, but I can't even call them disabilities because are they really? They're not. They're just different types of learning. I
Well,
don't,
Kaylee is dyslexic. I feel like in my soul, I feel like she's dyslexic and she
yeah,
has
but that's
hard.
not bad.
No, it's
It's
such,
non-traditional.
yeah, but it makes life so difficult because like, and she has struggled since she was in kindergarten. This isn't anything new.
And
She
she
struggled.
will.
Yeah. And so her trying to like, go to school, like right now we're having this last year and this year because
She
school is
needs
getting,
that, what is it, the IEP or what is it? She needs
yes,
that. And also potentially looking at a type of um, altered schooling situation through an online K-12 or something like that.
trying to suggest to her and she's like absolutely
No,
not, twice as
an
hard.
IEP. And
Yeah.
just keep in mind that those grades don't punish her for her grades for one, or for her like any type of school related stuff like that, not punishing her for that,
Okay.
understanding that grading for her is going to be different than the rest of the kids. So those lower expectations doesn't mean that you expect lower of her. It's just understanding that the communication through teachers versus her are not going to match up, and the way that they teach and the way that she learns is separate. So she's actually a very gifted kid.
Oh my
So
God.
they'll put her in remedial because they're like, I don't know what to do with this, but that's not why. And she needs to be really praised for who she is too. Otherwise it will hit the fan later on, especially in high school years. But she really needs to be praised at what she's good at and how she learns, and finding creative ways to teach math differently and to teach science differently. Everything is hands-on for her. So whether it be through, where she takes a scale and physically builds the scale and understands math is done on a scale instead of done in a traditional way, will help have her mentality match up with the traditional, because she is not a linear thinker whatsoever. And to expect her to be in any way is the disappointment for everybody, and especially when she was given this beautiful gift of the way that she thinks and her mindset of it. So she's very, very smart, very smart.
Very smart, and she's very creative.
And gets bored easily.
Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Yeah, she really does. It's bored.
So finding ways to get her connected as well. Finding, because anything that she's interested in, she's over the top obsessive with. And if she's not obsessed with it, she won't touch it, period. So it's either all or nothing. So, and because of that, you need to find a way and have a talk with the teachers that something needs to be done, that these projects and things like that need to be made extra exciting. Finding a mentor or a tutor or whatever, but don't call it a tutor, because that implies that you're not good at something. But that's not what this is. It's about taking things that are linear thinking and making it into her way, and making it exciting, and finding ways within what you're working on to be exciting. So with her, because she loves history, she loves building stuff, she loves dinosaurs, she loves that type of building it, volcanoes, and watching it erupt, making it erupt, she needs to feel how and why it works the way it does. So when it comes to math, of equating that through cooking, of doing that, something where it's hands-on, or a project, where so that way she can understand the concept on her own and become self-obsessed on the things that are interesting to her. Doesn't that sound familiar? Like with somebody?
Yeah, right.
Like to the T. Totally to the T.
To the T.
Yeah, me too. But I remember us in high school too. We weren't in that class because we were remedial. It's just we had different ways of Yeah. We just did not fit in. And plus you were really fun to hang out with. So my dad was so mad that I wouldn't move into the other grade, but go into another class. But eventually he forced me to. But it was, I wanted to hang out in there with you on that. I thought that was fun. Like, we were in a good place. What was wrong with that? I don't see it.
Fine with that.
Flirt with boys,
Yes, because it's exactly how Kaylee is. Like, 100. And I think it's so funny that you use the volcano as an example, because Addison, the younger, the middle kiddo now, but she just erupted her volcano outside on Friday last week. So
I knew there was a volcano involved. That's why I brought it up. Like, what is this volcano?
What do you intuitive? I said, what do you intuitive?
I might be a psychic medium.
I don't know. So I thought that was great.
I was always that weirdo though.
It's funny that like the things that are back then you felt like such a weirdo, and now you're like, now I get it. But back then, how like it almost alienated you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your guide and me be your guide, and having that experience, and that was some crazy crazy shit today.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. That was my grandfather. So we are getting at time, but I want to make sure that, did we touch everything that you were
and health wise for me, I'm all good. There's nothing that I'm worried about.
Did you actually end up doing the backs?
No, I did not. I don't feel like I have.
So.
Yeah, I
because of it, you're going to have to keep yourself incredibly isolated. You do have a tendency to get sick and pass it. So I am gonna just say there, if you want a more inclusive world, then yes, you would have to get that done. But there is a chance of, especially coming up in February, of getting sick from like that. So
we got coronavirus at the end of September. And so just
especially with Olivia, because with the asthma stuff, because that'll put them in ICU, it's not the upfront part of it, it's the tail end
of it.
Yeah,
exactly. So everybody got it, except for, I'm pretty sure Olivia didn't, and Kaylee never got it. She tested negative the whole time the rest of us had it. I have lost my taste and my smell, and it still has not come back yet. Right now,
that's what I was like, okay, how do I bring this up? I know that we're on opposite ends of how we view this stuff. However, I because your grandma's like, don't get mad, she didn't get the shot, don't get mad. And saying that to me about you guys, that you didn't, don't get mad, Carrie, she didn't get, none of them are vaccinated, so don't act like you're shocked.
I just feel like, I just wasn't sure if I should. And I've been kind of bouncing back and forth. And I'm like, I just don't want it to affect my girls and, their fertility. There's still so many unknowns. Like,
it won't affect their fertility. You have so many grandkids coming up. It's insane. But yeah, no, that's not it. That's not it. And I'm not trying to be like somebody who does it. It's just that long.
I just want
to make your own decisions, and
but I want right choice. You know what I mean?
It is very likely for you to get super sick again soon. So, and the kids don't do as well. So, yeah. And I'm trying to say that in a way that isn't pushy, that isn't, because it's up to you on that.
Like, I know you and well enough to know.
Yeah.
That it's totally not. And so, but like I said, like, I still don't have my taste and my smell. Right now I have like this crazy, like, it almost tastes like rotting meat, like in the back of my throat.
Yeah.
And that's all about. And I'm like,
that's all the post-nasal discharge and the breakdown from that stuff that's continuous. Yeah. And this stuff, the problem with this is it lasts. It's not just like the flu of where it goes away, or even like swine flu. I had swine flu when, it was in my oldest daughter, and we both, it was horrible. But this is different. It's even harder and worse than that, especially. And it, just because you had it once doesn't mean that you're not going to get it again, or that it's not going to come back worse. It just depends on all sorts of stuff. And so that is a decision that I don't want to prompt anything of, but you're very likely to get sick
again
February there. So yeah, just saying. Yeah.
Well,
and you don't want that to run into the spring, because then you have the house stuff coming up and all that stuff. So this was like without being sick. So yeah.
I just wonder how that house stuff is going to play out, because we bought this house, but this house has appreciated like $100,000. And so, we wanted to, so I'm just wondering how that all.
What is that? Sorry. I just had this little surgery last week, but it is so funny because I got to show you. Look how quickly it healed. I used my magic potion on it.
What is your magic potion? Holy cow.
Yeah, no kidding. It's only been less than a week and it's fully healed. Is that crazy? My potion stuff, it works, but it itches a little. Sorry. Tell me about.
Are you getting news?
No, you?
I just got this message. Bobby is awake and talking